be good. Hello, everybody. Spider here, DeFi Car Podcast, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. Being joined by Ariana Melendez. Ariana, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Now,
Good.
earlier I was asking where you were from. You're actually in Florida.
Yeah. Born and raised in Orlando.
And this promotion coming up, I mean, of course, it is for Cage Titans. It is in Massachusetts, like you were saying. And are you driving out there or are you going to fly out there?
No, we get to fly. I don't know if I'd be able to make that drive cutting weight.
Well, that's true. You see, and I always ask because a lot of fighters, especially I'm in Texas, so a lot of times the guys fight in Louisiana, Oklahoma, and a lot of times they use that travel to cut their weight. And I'm thinking, man, that's gotta suck, you know?
Yeah. I'd much rather do it in the comfort of like a hotel room or something, not in a car.
Especially if they have a sauna too, right? That helps.
Exactly. Yeah, you can cut weight anywhere now.
Let me ask you, this fight is going to be on April 2nd. Once again, as far as a professional, I mean, did you start your career in Florida?
Yeah, so I started actually had my first like boxing fight, I think in 2018, for a small promotion out in Daytona. And that was kind of like my trial run if I wanted to do this or not. And sure enough, after I got my hand raised, I was like, I got the bug. I was like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing it like now. And shortly after that, I had my first amateur fight out for King of the Cage. I debuted for them for my first amateur fight, and the rest is history. Now we're here.
No, you see, in King of the Cage, I know they've traveled across the U.S., but were they in Florida when you competed, or did you go out there to California?
I went to actually Buffalo, New York. They had a fight card out there in the Seneca Casino. So for my first amateur fight, ever, it was a pretty huge experience. But I was glad to, just jump right in the deep end right away and then get the experience that I needed for that.
No, and I mean, when it came to what was it that attracted you to combat sports, first off?
Oh man. Well, I'd always been like into extreme sports. So I was a junior pro surfer for a while, and I started watching UFC right around like the Ronda Rousey era, and I was like, man, like that's something like I would like to try and do. I think I'd be good at it. So it's all just about like where to start. How do you get to go and go to an MMA gym? So finally, I stepped into one, and I hung up my surfboard the very next day.
Really? And you haven't been, you still surf or no more?
Oh my God, I think I surfed last maybe like 3 years ago. It's been a while. It's been a while.
You see, I lived in Florida, over there by Venice, Florida. This was
Okay.
probably like in 2005, and we lived right by the beach. We're like 4 blocks away, and we could walk out there. And I was always like, man, I want to learn how to surf. But I guess it depends what part of the ocean you're in because I didn't see any waves, So it's like I mean, but what were some good spots for you when you were out there?
I went over to New Smyrna a lot. The jetty over there. It's probably the most consistent surf break on the East Coast, I'd say. And they've got a bunch of like cool different spots off of the jetty and stuff, but it's just so loaded with sharks now that I just psych myself out. I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather just stay on the beach. I got training tomorrow. I'm good.
Yeah, you deal with the sharks inside the cage, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can only fight one fight a week.
No, no, definitely. No, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, going to Florida, of course, seeing the manatees. I mean, seeing ocean life. I mean, it was always cool. What was it for you? Because obviously you were doing it for a while, but I mean, for me, I was there 6 months, and after 4 months of going to the beach, after a while, I was like, oh, okay, it was the same thing. I mean, we went to Miami Beach. I mean, but I mean, did it plateau for you? Did it get boring after a while?
No, the thing about surfing, it's actually kind of like MMA. I mean, there's always something you can do to critique your skill and to get better at. You're never perfect at that sport and or in MMA, obviously. So there was always like improving to do. And since it's not really based off of me wanting to go to the gym, it's off of Mother Nature if they want to provide me waves or not. Um, you kind of hit these times where you go 2 to 3 weeks without surfing because there's no waves or any swells coming through. So, you just kind of like obsess over it. And then when you finally get a good swell, you're like, okay, you're out there for like 4 to 6 hours a session. So yeah, it's nice and it's challenging too, because you want to make the most out of each wave, just like I want to make the most out of each experience in the cage. So they kind of go hand in hand for me.
No, no, and the fact that you said throw in a 4 or 5 hour session, I never surfed. I used to skateboard,
Yeah.
and ladies, of course, yeah. I mean, we find a good curve, we'd be there like 2 3 hours on that damn curve.
Exactly. Time just flies and you don't even realize. And I used to not surf with a watch. So I mean, I would get out, sunrise, and then eventually I'd start to see it like kind of go down a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, how long have we been out here on the beach for? So yeah.
And I'll say this as far as being in the ocean water, because of course you don't see yourself, you don't feel yourself dehydrating, but you do dehydrate because of the salt, right? So it's one thing dangerous. So definitely stay hydrated when you're out there.
Yeah. You learn a lot about, a lot of physical stuff once you get to that certain level of surfing.
Now, let me ask you, having come from surfing, when you transitioned into MMA, was there anything about surfing that kind of helped you with the sport?
Oh yeah, I would say like the competition mindset. Like a lot of people kind of freeze when it's time to go, and you're doing what you signed up to do and stuff like that. Surfing, there's about 3 or 4 people, and heat is what they call your session that the judges judge. So nonetheless, all eyes are on you, just like in MMA where it's you and one other girl. I mean, there's me and maybe like 2 or 3 other girls out there surfing. So, in that experience, it goes hand in hand. And like, I hear the air horn for surfing, you hear the bell for, MMA. So, those are all just like small little triggers that I found that, help me into adjusting into MMA.
No, yeah, and I will say this: I have a local here, UFC fighter Pete Spratt, and one day he was training. It was like years back. He actually had a fight, and it was in the middle of the summer. I mean, it was hot as hell, and I'm out there with my camera, and I'm watching him run, and I'm like, man, why would you want to run out here in the middle? And he says, man, when you're in the cage and the lights are on you, it's hot. He said,
Yeah.
it's a mental game, and so with surfing, I mean, of course, you're out there in the heat all day, so the lights don't bother you, right?
Yeah, no. Like a lot of like training experiences and discipline, came from surfing, like I had to go to bed early, to wake up for my competitions because we had to be at the beach at like 6 a.m. before even the event. The event promoters were there to set up shop and stuff. So yeah, you had to just be the discipline of, dieting. You still needed enough stamina to last, 4 or 5 heats to make it to the finals. And same thing with MMA. So, I got a lot of my discipline, I'd say, through surfing, and it transitioned very well into MMA.
Oh, for sure. And how long have you been training or competing in MMA, should we say?
So I've been training for, I believe, like 5 years, and then, like I said, my first competition was in 2018. So I think that goes along with it. Yeah. So it's been a while. It's been a while. The time kind of just like just combines together when you're getting ready for fights. We look at it as 6 weeks away, and then you blink, and then it's 6 weeks, and your fight day's here, and then you're like, oh wow, it's already been a few months, and the year's almost over. So it all just kind of jumbles together once you're in that routine.
No, definitely. Let me ask you, your nickname, Kid Diamond. Where did that come from? Did somebody give you that, or I mean, how does that relate to you or your fight style?
Well, so surfing, it was just like a phrase that I always I wrote on my surfboard every time, like diamonds don't crack under pressure. And I like to think of myself like a diamond in the rough. Like I've been through a lot of situations and I still came out shining, and I take pride in that. And I just relate to diamonds. They start from nothing and then they end up being something absolutely beautiful. And the kid part, when I was younger, my family always used to call me Punk Kid because I was the one always, being the little menace out of the family and stuff like that. So it all just kind of like combined together to be Kid Diamond.
No, you see, and when I saw the nickname, I was like, man, I wonder. There's an old saying where it says, "No pressure, no diamond."
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, it comes from nothing. So I mean, so that's cool. I like that. I mean, I was kind of curious, so I had to bring that up.
Yeah,
Uh,
of course.
you mentioned family. I mean, of course, calling you, Punk Kid, but I mean, how does the family feel about you competing in combat sports?
Oh man, I have an amazing support system. I don't think I could ask for a better one, to be honest with you. I mean, like all my siblings are behind me, and every time I get a fight announcement and stuff like that, they're right behind me, sharing, trying to help me out. And like my mom, of course, she's happy for me that I've made it, this far, that I can call myself a professional athlete, because she knows that that's something I've always wanted to, get to. And she's super happy I've made it this far, and I hit that milestone, and that I'm very dedicated, and I have such a goal oriented lifestyle now. And she's happy, but she still hasn't seen a fight. She'll watch it on YouTube afterwards, like maybe like a month or so after.
And I was going to ask, does there normally go? I mean, do you have family members that go out there and watch you fight?
Yeah, I do. So I have my stepmom, and then my two younger sisters that haven't missed an event, even like a couple of outside state events they've been to. So I'm thankful for that. And sometimes, like for this fight coming up in Massachusetts, they ask if they if I wanted them to go and stuff. I was like, no, not for this one. Don't worry about it. For the next one maybe. So it's cool. It's nice to have such a great support system.
Oh yeah, you see, and one of the things I always ask fighters, especially when they fight local, is if they get nervous because, of course, you're local, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, everybody's going to show up. So I always ask them, like, man, are you nervous? And some of them kind of feel the pressure, some of them don't. But coming from surfing, I mean, of course, like you said, you have eyes on you 24/7. So the
Yeah.
pressure. I mean, do you still feel it when you go out there in the cage?
No, I love it. I love when my family's there to watch me fight. I mean, it turns on a switch that that I have to get used to turning on when they're not there. It's just like it's just showing them that months and months and months of preparation, all comes down to this right here, and that they know that being this dedicated, has its positives and stuff like that, and it shows that hard work will get you the win. And that's one thing that I preach to my younger sisters about, is that if you're consistent and it's something that you really want to do, the hard work and everything like that will be definitely worth it in the end.
Oh, and let me ask you, this fight coming up, I mean, it is for Cage Titans Fighting Championship. Your opponent, Henley, I mean, do you know anything about her? I mean, is your game plan already set as far as for what she does?
Yeah. So, we did, watch a couple of her fights and stuff like that. And my coaches and teammates, we do our best to, mock the style and stuff like that in training. And yeah, we came up with our own little game plan, and we're comfortable.
And now this fight coming up is going to be at 115.
Yeah. Yep. It'll be at strawweight.
And what do you normally walk around at when you're not in comp, or like say the week of fight week?
Oh man, so it depends. Am I being a fat kid this month, or am I being disciplined? So when I'm a fat kid, I'm eating nothing but sweets all the time. I walk around at like 128, but regularly I'm 125. So there's not a big difference. It's a very easy cut for me, and I try to make it that way on purpose, because the last thing I want to focus on is if I'm gonna make weight or not. I want to focus on the fight, the game plan. Everything like that. The last thing I want to have to stress about is, the weight cut. I already know it's going to come off, clean, easy, little to no damage. So we're good.
No, no, definitely. Now, of course, like you mentioned earlier, you competed in boxing. This next spot is going to be in mixed martial arts. Are you looking at maybe in the future doing some pro boxing or pro kickboxing?
I don't know. The main goal for me is to be a MMA world champion for strawweight. That's my goal. And a lot of people ask me like, oh, why don't you do like more jiu-jitsu competitions? What, or you could do some like kickboxing. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I could do that, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to win a gold at the IBJJF. I'm trying to, at the end of the day, be the best strawweight in the world for MMA. So, I mean, the time I would take to go compete in a jiu-jitsu competition, I could spend more time working on my craft in MMA and, preparing and getting better at that. So I don't really think I would do something like that. If the opportunity ever arise for like a charity event or something like that, of course I would take it in consideration. But as far as like tunnel vision, right now is to be the best strawweight in the world.
No, no, by all means. You see, one of the things, once again, when I talk to locals here, is for me, I'm always like, you know what, if you don't have a fight coming up, then go to a tournament or go and participate in something to kind of stay busy. But of course, if you're training, like here, I mean, of course, I'm inside a training facility here in San Antonio, and the guys when they're not training, somebody else is fighting, so they're still training. You know what I mean? So they're
Yeah.
always busy. That's kind of like, is that kind of like where you're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, we actually do have a new submission only grappling is what they're called. So it's grappling in a cage. So it's submission only. And they just started this maybe last year, and I got to compete in it for the first time not too long ago. And I think like that is probably like as far as I would go for like, doing jiu-jitsu tournaments or something like that, because it's as close to MMA as I can get. Like I'm still in the cage and everything like that, but I don't have to worry about getting hit. I just got to work on getting a submission and stuff. So like that type of event I would do over and over again. One, submission grappling series is an amazing event. And two, it just gives me that extra experience from the rules meeting to the walkout to, dabbing up your teammates, getting ready to walk in the cage to, getting the finish and stuff like that. So that type of event I would definitely keep doing, but like the tournament styles and stuff like that, it's not really close to MMA or and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get more comfortable in the whole MMA scene and, in general, the fight day and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you see, one of the things here in Texas, we have a promotion called Texas Cash Coalition.
Mhm.
Coalition, and it's the same platform. They have it inside a cage. They do the whole walkout. They do everything, and a lot of the fighters, I've heard the same thing. They're like, man, I like it for my fighters because they're looking to compete, so that way they can get used to the crowd, the cameras, the lights, and it's a good platform, like you said, because yeah, you get that experience. And I mean, some people might not want to do it after that, who knows? But for those that do, of course, it's a good way to get used to the light, camera, and the action, so to speak, right?
100%, 100%. I mean, there's even been a couple UFC fighters that were on that submission grappling series event, So it just goes to show that you can never be too comfortable. You can always keep using that experience, you may think, oh, just the walkout's not a lot, but it is. It is. That's something that you have to definitely perfect getting comfortable with, because once you start walking that it's about to go down. So, the more comfortable you can get with controlling your heartbeat, your breathing, your nerves, the better you will be for your fights. So I definitely, that's definitely, like the type of tournament style I would do.
No, you see, and one of the things, like you mentioned, because I don't know if it was the same grappling. I don't think it was, because the one that I saw was a Fury It was a grappling tournament for Fury, and it was on the UFC Fight Pass. But yeah, it had a ton of veterans, not even veterans, people that were still in the UFC. And
Yeah.
the fact that some of them lost, it kind of, like you said, it makes you realize that yeah, just because you're good in MMA doesn't mean you're good in grappling, or vice versa. You
Yeah.
can be a grappler and not be able to fight in the cage, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's good to kind of expose where you need more work at too, So in that case, it's a very good experience, and it's in a cage, so you can work your cage pressure and stuff like that. Or if you get pressed up against the cage, you can be like, all right, well, I can't strike here, so now I got to figure out where I'm going to put my frames. Am I going to go here? Am I going to go there? So it almost allows you to be a little bit more technical in that aspect without having the striking. But if it's not in a cage, I don't want to do it.
As far as music, what kind of music do you listen to come fight week to hype you up, or do you use music to kind of mellow you out?
Oh man, I listen to everything honestly but country. I can't do it. I can't do it. But I listen to oh my god, just a wide variety. I mean, I can go from screamo to some Eminem, like old Eminem, like 90s Eminem, like real quick, so yeah, it just like varies, to be honest. Like when we're on the plane ride there, I listen to some like more mellow stuff, but like come fight day, I listen to a little bit more like rap and stuff like that.
Just to get the momentum going, huh? Get a
Yeah,
little.
yeah, and like it's like the smooth rap, where they're like they're hitting the bars, the beat's good, but it's not too crazy where I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm about to fight, I'm like, okay, I can vibe with this, like we're going to the venue now, okay, so.
As far as walkout song, do you always use the same one? I mean, when you walk out.
No, I have a different one for every fight, for sure. It's just it just for different fights create different experiences. So even when I listen to a song that I walked out to, for like my second Emmy fight, it brings back memories to that specific fight. So I like to create new memories every single walkout.
No, I mean, by all means. One of the things with Florida, especially since you're out there, Florida has been on fire when it comes to MMA. I mean, you've got Masvidal out there doing his promotion. You've got Anthony Pettis just had his promotion recently. I mean, it's busy. I mean, the state itself. I mean, are you looking to compete more locally after this one, or does it matter? I mean, whoever calls.
Oh, I mean, they definitely have those promotions, but I mean, the main one that I will always try and fight for is Combat Night MMA. Like I absolutely love the promoter. He's an awesome guy. He definitely goes above and beyond for his, for the fighters on the card. I mean, he'll try and find a last minute fight week if your opponent pulls out the week of. So like that type of promotion, like, I will always try to get on first before looking for anything else. Unfortunately, for the regional scene right now for 115 pros, it's very, very thin. So we have to, go outside of the state. But if I had my choice, I'd always fight for Combat Night. I absolutely love it, the event, the way that they're organized and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be my go-to promotion as far as like the regional scene goes.
No, no, definitely. Now, let me ask you, as far as training, what do you know? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's mixed martial arts, so I'm pretty sure you do, the grappling with the striking. Is there one that you prefer more than the other? I mean, when it comes to like an opponent, I mean, of course, you work on a weakness, or as far as like coming into the fight.
No, not really. The great thing that I have on my side is my coaches and my teammates. They kind of like help guide me into what I should be working more on or less of when it comes to my opponents. The best thing about where I train at Fusion XL is that they definitely space out each art. So like on Tuesdays, we'll have just the stand-up striking, and then we'll go to no-gi jiu-jitsu where we can add punches. On Thursday, we'll have striking and then wrestling. So having two different forms of ground game in a week is insane, because you can definitely feel the difference between wrestling and no-gi. So it's great to be able to have that type of training regimen. And if I ever need extra work or need to do anything else, I know that I can like rely on my teammates to go ahead and help me out in that aspect. So yeah, I don't really have to come up with a game plan. I can honestly just say, hey, here's my opponent, and my coach and teammates will be like, all right, so this is what we're gonna do, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, all right, cool, like let's do it.
No, no, you see, and that's good because, of course, a great coach is always going to look out for your best interest when it comes to training. Now, when it comes to a fight, well, I mean, obviously they offer you guys a fight. Do you sit down with your coaches and kind of go over like whether or not you should take an opponent or a fight?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I just made the transfer over to Fusion a few months ago. I would say maybe about 5 to 6 months now, if not a little bit less. But you know, making the transfer over to that gym, you got to create a whole new relationship with your coaches and stuff like that, and see where you're at. So like every time I got a fight opportunity, the main thing was for me to adjust to their system that they have there and make sure that I am ready to take another pro fight. So once, my coach saw that I was showing up every day, sometimes twice a day and stuff like that, I think it made him realize, all right, like she's hungry for a fight. And then finally I was just like, all right, like I need a fight. And we finally were offered Danielle Hindley, and I showed my coach, and he was like, okay, yeah, like let's go ahead, let's get this working. And it's close enough away that I don't have to get ready. I stayed ready since my last fight last year, and it's far enough away to be able to work on a game plan and stuff like that. So we lucked out with this one, and I'm really happy, and I can't wait to be able to go out there and perform on April 2nd.
Oh, no, definitely. And let me ask you, when it comes to fights, what would be an ideal amount of fights for yourself, like per year?
Oh man, last year I was shooting for like trying to get 4 fights. Like I really don't want to be that inactive fighter that fights once a year and calls themselves a pro fighter. Like if there was like any situation like changing gyms, then yeah, of course I can understand and be patient with. But now that I've secured, a place and like they know how I am, they know my fighting style and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll be able to fight at least 3 more times this year. So that's the goal. I feel like I have a little bit of catching up to do in that aspect, and yeah, I just want to be comfortable again in there. My amateur career, I was fighting like once every other 2 months or something like that. So I got really, really comfortable being in that cage and stuff like that. And it showed in my pro debut. Unfortunately, with my loss last year, it kind of sucked, in a way. And yeah, so, we just had to take some time to, step back, reestablish everything, and then keep going.
No, no, by all means. Now, let me ask you, as far as sponsors helping you for this bout, who do you have helping you for April 2nd?
Man, I've had a huge, support system. So I have a new business that just started up, Fox Homes. They're based out of Pennsylvania, and they're doing renovating homes and stuff like that. They're awesome people as well. I've got Flawless Cuts that keeps me looking fresh every fight week, every fight day. I have the other side MMA, who is a local, actually, entrepreneur for hand wraps. They're probably one of the best hand wraps I've had in the game. They don't stink, they don't tangle. They're literally a fighter's dream hand wraps. So I always wear those for the other side. I've got Retro Grappler. He's actually an amazing artist. He's working on my walkout T-shirts right now, and he makes some of the best rash guards and fight gear I could think of, like shorts, shirts. I'm there. I don't think I don't wear anything else but retro, actually, when it comes to like my rash guards and stuff like that, because they're just such good quality. I can wash them every single day and they never fade or look like I even washed them once. So yeah, and then I have MMA Island. They've been backing me since my pro debut. They're a cool podcast as well. Great people that run it. Chris is one of the main guys for MMA Island, and he's just an awesome guy. He's younger, so he's like up and coming, and it's cool to see someone grind, on the other side of MMA. So it's cool. And yeah, I believe that's it.
No, and of course, I mean, if anybody out there listening, of course, they can contact you and hit you up for sponsors, right?
Always, always. I'm always happy to like help out, small businesses, big businesses, whatever it is, because like we all got to start somewhere, right? Like, so if it means like, putting a logo on the back of my shirts, help you, help me, like let's do it. So I'm always, super happy to be able to help, businesses as well.
And let me ask you, because I mean, we used to use sex wax when it came to skateboarding for the grind. You used to surf, so I mean, have you thought about contacting some of these surf shops?
Actually, no, I haven't. That might be a good idea, to be honest. I haven't really thought about it that way. But yeah, I mean, I could always go that route for sure.
And I was thinking about that because I remember when we used to skateboard. I mean, sex wax. I had a shirt that says sex wax. I wore it to school, and they told me that I had to turn it inside out, right? But
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of funny remarks when I used to work at a surf shop when it came to sex wax.
now, let me ask you, of course, despite Cage Titans Fighting Championship is going to be April 2nd, I want to thank you. I'm going to wish you the best of luck come fight night. I want to thank you for jumping on this. Any last minute things before we wrap this up?
Um, just go ahead, tune in to the pay-per-view for Cage Titans if you guys aren't local. If you are, go ahead and catch an amazing fight show in Massachusetts. If you are local, go ahead and buy a ticket, support some of your local athletes out there, and me if you want. And I appreciate you, taking the time out to interview me, and I'm glad to be a part of this.
No, not a problem. Don't hang up yet. But everybody out there, this is the Fight Card Podcast. Once again, San Antonio, Texas. Till next time, follow up.